Good evening, everyone, and welcome to American Scousers EPL Panel Show. We are having this episode today pretty much titled Three Winners and Me. And me is me hiding underneath cardboard because it has just been an absolutely abysmal last few weeks for the lone Liverpool fan here right now. And so this is going to be the probably most fun that these guys will ever have on the show. No, I mean, there probably will be better times to have, but this is a pretty good time for right now. So I guess just we'll go in order. Winner number one, Sully, welcome. How are you doing tonight?
It's been a good few weeks. All is right in the world.
All is almost right in the world. Winner number two, Glenn, welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening. Lots to talk about.
That's all you get? Okay, Shay, hey, winner number three, big takedown on Manchester City. Welcome to the show, Shay. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, on a high. So we got to play you guys this week, maybe go 3 for 3. Take down all the big clubs.
Yeah. So speaking of big clubs, Glenn, let's just start with you, man. Yeah, I know that you had joked about finding a way to get throw-ins into this chat, and I wish there was a way that you could. I'm sure there's a way you could. We talked about it last week. I said my biggest concern going into the weekend was the strength of set pieces against the defense or the lack thereof of set pieces on our end. And within 6 minutes, we saw the undoing of that. Overall, I know, we'll get to your thoughts on the match just really quickly. I know that there are a lot of fans out there that were complaining about this penalty call, that penalty call. At the end of the game, for me, both calls, I don't think both calls are pens. I think Gakpo goes down too easily. And then I think that Van Dijk's challenge is just very lazy, but it is just outside the box enough that I don't know if there was enough to overturn it, right? When we talk about VAR, it's always the clear and obvious. So for me, I don't know if that was clear and obvious enough. So beyond that, we were outplayed. We were out hustled. We were out efforted. I think the biggest thing for me and what you could easily see between these two clubs is the want for the ball and the want to be on the pitch and the right to be on the pitch. And it very much feels like players at Liverpool feel like they deserve to be on the pitch because they play for Liverpool. Brentford feels like, or just the league in general, those other players feel like they deserve to be on the pitch because they are good footballers that deserve to play against anyone on any Saturday or Sunday. And so that's my biggest takeaway, especially watching Jordan Henderson just completely dominate his old club in that midfield when he shouldn't be doing that at his age. It was sort of a bittersweet thing, but that's as much as I have to say, and the rest is over to you, Glenn.
Yeah, it's fair analysis. I totally agree with you, man. On both counts with the penalties, I was shocked VAR intervened for the one that we got given. I was, really, really pleasantly surprised. I agree with you on both counts. I think Gakpo does go a little easy. Can see why that might be given, but again, it's a little soft. And then, I think he's on the line, maybe just outside. I think that's a pretty extraordinary one for VAR to get involved in. I really, really was surprised by that. Obviously, you take it. Obviously, the result was warranted on performance. It didn't, per the scoreline, it came down to the pen, but obviously the game was much more than that. And honestly, your two goals, Kirkez, we're napping after we've just scored, really poor defending, and we can blame the ref. But it looks like I was shocked with how late play went, both in the first half and second half. But it looks as if the ref about got it right in the first half if you timed the goal and the celebrations for Shada. So, again, one of those talking points that felt very, very fiery for me in the moment, but I think it just worked out. The goal itself was disappointing to concede, right? Kirkez ghosting in the back post. Salah's goal, it's a moment of magic, right? He still had a poor game. He's had an awful season. But because he's Mohamed Salah and because you can't write him off and because he is technically one of the best players in the league, he can just do magic like that. And it was funny. Of all the goals I wanted to see again, that was the one I wanted to watch purely for the technique. But that aside, those are your two moments of goals, right? And you huffed and puffed. And you played like a weird 1-4-5 towards the end, which looked pretty desperate, to be honest, where you're just piling on hundreds of millions worth of talent to no avail. And again, it took a Salah moment of brilliance to even get the second goal, right? That was kind of a surprise to everyone. But yeah, you look at what we did. I mean, we said it last week, right? We ran the channels. You couldn't deal with the pace of Sharda. You couldn't deal with the pace of Dango. Both of them got on the score sheet. You couldn't deal with Thiago's physicality. He got on the score sheet. As a Brentford fan, you're saying I've been begging for us to play 4-3-3 week in, week out. Would you believe it? We do it and we see instant results against some of the best teams in the country and honestly, therefore, in the world, right? For all three of our forwards in a 4-3-3 to bag a goal each. I mean, that is dreamland, isn't it? And all different types of goals, right? The Atara from the long throw, Sharda. He made the one-on-one look a little tricky. I think the keeper can judge himself a little unfortunate. I was never convinced when Sharda was going through on goal, and it wasn't a convincing finish for me, but he did the business. Great. And then Thiago just smashes a penalty down the middle, as he's apt to do. If I were a goalkeeper, having watched two of his pens in the Prem, stay where you are. He likes it low and hard. Regardless of that, as you said, I mean, I thought your analysis was spot on. I mean, we were totally up for it. We outfought you in a variety of departments where we shouldn't really be outfighting you. It's always hard to think about desire and passion because when all said and done, both teams on the pitch want to win over 90 minutes. I don't doubt the passion of any one of those players, but you can definitely see that the cohesion is not there, right? That is just not working. And your weaknesses, which we identified on this podcast this time last week, as discussed, long throws, aerial balls, physicality, pace over the top, with two fullbacks who are both substituted in Kirkez and Bradley, who do not look good enough to mount a title challenge with. They do not look good enough. It is simple as that. They are not performing at a level you need. I mean, I would take Coyote over either of them. He bossed another game, and he looks like a revelation at right back. And you look across the board, right? Nobody had a bad game. And just to touch on some of the names, the Liverpool signings, Kelleher, very solid. Van den Berg, strong game from him. If you remember that goal-saving tackle he put in, unbelievable. That was going right in the back of the net. And then, of course, Jordan Henderson, who, despite his age, despite, discussions about the longevity of his quality, the man bosses it for 90 minutes. He doesn't even get subbed. This is the type of caliber of player we brought into the club. So every one of the signings we got from you, I'm not saying that any three of them would start for you, but I'm just saying we've recruited really, really well. And for those players to thrive in a game that would have so much emotional impact for them, right? Probably as people who really love the club, all three of them. That was great. And as I said, Damsgaard, what I love about this formation, it frees up Damsgaard. I guess it's like a 4-2-3-1, really, as opposed to a kind of rigorous 4-3-3. I mean, Damsgaard, your keeper did brilliant to keep him out twice. I mean, those were sensational saves. So, you look at the stats. Yeah, you outpassed us. That's fine. That's a given. But we had more shots than you. We had more shots on target. And I think over the 90 plus however many minutes towards the end, I think we were very good value for the win. And I think 3-2 is a fair scoreline. It was a thriller of a game. That was a proper game.
I think, honestly, at the end of the day, 3-2 almost flattered us a little bit too much outside of it. And unfortunately for Mo, that finish will not get celebrated as much as it should be, given the scoreline. It's probably one of his best finishes he's had, at least in the last couple of years. So, but yeah, touched on everything there. Unfortunate injury to Yarmolyuk. I don't know how long he's out for. Coyote looked like Michael Essien at times out there going through the midfield. I swear, I had no idea who was trying to pick him up, where he was trying to be picked up. But it felt like he just was able to play down the wings wherever he wanted to. He was able to step in through midfield. And there was a ball in the second half where he just carried it about 20, 30 yards across the midfield. I'm thinking, who is this? What is going on? Guy? So all in all, I mean, yeah, absolutely plaudits for Brentford. It's an exciting time for you guys. I think it's outside of the top six, the big boys. It's good to see clubs like this put in such performances. And I know, we're struggling, but we're still supposed to be a good team. It's not like, you're playing against a really poor team there. So, what
happens when you get rats and snakes into your dressing room?
He wasn't even there, I think. I mean, he's already like slithered.
The ghost of Alexander.
he's already there. He's omnipresent. There's nothing else we can do about it. So I guess speaking of the ghost of Alexander, what he left behind, Newcastle, Bruno Guimaraes with 3 points at the death for Newcastle. Big 3 points over Fulham. Sully, fair result. What did you think?
We should have won that game by more. We were dominating that game. That I mean, this has been the story of Newcastle's season. Really, aside from the Benfica game, we just haven't been able to put teams away. We've been dominant, but teams find a way. They sneak back in, and this is why Bruno is the captain right now on the field. Like, Bruno is so clutch. He is not somebody you can rely on for, 15 to 20 goals a season. I hate to do this. The 6 to 7 goals he's going to score every season. I know. I'm sorry.
Where's the ban button? Hold on. Yeah, one moment. Okay.
I deserved longer than that. But those goals he's going to give you every season are goals that are going to win you games. Those are clutch goals. I think back to it was us versus, it was an Easter game. It might have been us versus Brighton 3-4 years ago that he put one in on Easter right at the death, and that's what Bruno does. Bruno will, he can't do it every game, obviously, but there are games where he simply says, we're not going to lose this game. We need the 3 points. We're getting that ball in the back of the net, and he goes and does it. I mean, it's as simple as that. Like, I thought we played well across the board. I didn't think there were too many issues with, Howe's lineup, anything like that. It was nice to see Lewis Miley get some significant time, especially with how many shifts Tonali's been putting in. You got to give him a break. So I thought it was a very, very strong game by us, but again, not enough going for the throat in front of net. Like, not enough getting that kill shot early in the game and putting the game out of reach, or at least being comfortable. I have watched very few Newcastle games this season where I've been in a good place mentally. So I really hope that is something we get figured out. I mean, Voldemate didn't score this game, but he's got 4 goals in 9 games on the season. I mean, that's tremendous for him. Gordon needs to get on the sheet. Jacob Murphy got on it early. Jacob Murphy's a setup guy. He's not a goal scorer. He's the guy who gets you the assists. And so we need more out of that left side. It was great to see Gordon get a goal against Benfica midweek, but then Barnes got 2 in Gordon's position. And watching Gordon with the eye test, he's not playing poorly. He's playing well, but he's just not able to find the back of the net, which was a saving grace for us last season. So hopefully he can really get it kind of figured out. I'm wondering if, switching him between striker and the left side at that early part of the season, he kind of has in the back of his mind, like, hey, I still need to be a striker. You don't need to do that. We have you for the cut-in ball. Put it in that far post. That's your job. That is what you do for this team. Osula has been a phenomenal backup striker, and I this is going to be kind of a spicy take, but when Vissa comes back from injury, he's going to have to almost play second fiddle to Osula. Osula has done a very, very nice job. He's only got 1 Premier League goal this season, but his work rate is very impressive, especially those first few games where he had to come in for Voltemade early, 65th minute or so, and play a solid stretch. He's been very, very solid. Big fan of him. I think he is going to get more Premier League goals as the season goes on. But, a win's a win. Fulham were scrappy. Fulham are not a team you necessarily want to see day in and day out. They're a team that is going to give you a fight no matter where they're at. So, like I said, a win's a win. We got the 3 points. We needed the 3 points. Looking at Newcastle statistics kills me right now, because if you look at the table, as I'm pulling it up,
I'll bring it up on the screen here.
If you look at the table, 3-3-3 with a +1 goal differential. We are break even as a season goes. So we need to start putting more into that win column. We can't be settling for draws anymore. We have to get wins, and those wins should be coming by about the 70th minute. We need to put teams away. I hate how far you're scrolling down. I feel like you're doing that intentionally. But
I just had to zoom in. That's
dude,
all.
I get it. I get it. Like, it's fine. Whatever. But anywho, like, we got to get those points. We just have to get those points early and just build some comfort level, because that is our biggest issue right now. We're not finishing games. I mean, we are, because we won in the 90th minute, but there was a half-hour stretch there where that game was wide open for the taking. So if we can just keep finding the back of the net, keep getting good results, I think we're going to be fine as the season progresses.
Speaking of a team that's becoming more and more fine as the season progresses, Shay, with Poland's true pride and honor in Matty Cash, big win over Man City. If it wasn't for Glenn's Brentford, this probably would be the result of the weekend. You could still argue that it is, just given what was expected going into the weekend. But you have to be just absolutely elated with the 3 points from this weekend.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, the Polish Cafu, who would have thought Matty Cash would turn this form in, because there's been all the talking, though, we need a new right back, which he's gotten comfortable because we literally haven't brought in anybody to challenge him. He's played probably like 4 years straight now, and he is frustrating to watch sometimes just because he will be so well in attacking and then he just shuts off. I'm like, Matty, you got to keep running, buddy. But I think the last couple of weeks he has scored nothing but goals outside the box. So keep it up. I like to see those kinds of goals. But you talk about thoroughly impressed. That first half, oh my God, like they were out passing Man City, and I thought that would never happen. And, with the Scottish meatball over here, he's 30-something years old, has been playing for years at this point, and he was absolutely bossing their midfield. And I was nervous just because Holland has been on form. I thought he was going to come in and just absolutely probably torch us, which that just is high praise to Konsa. I think he is probably England's top 2 center backs right now. Just played lights out and kept him in the pockets the whole time. But that first half, that was good. But that first half was really nice. And then the second half, typical Emery, just sat back and just let them attack. Surprising was seeing Jadon come on for, the injury, and then they pulled him. He was not happy. Like, I'm sure a lot of people talked about that. But, I mean, he didn't even shake Emery's hand or Ross Barkley's. Ross just kind of stood there with his hand out and just went on with his day. But it was nice to see. I am thoroughly impressed with the turnaround because, like I said earlier, I think I did the first season or, the first podcast, and I kind of went missing. I was like, it was depressing. There was nothing to talk about. It's like we couldn't score. We were drawing. It was very boring to watch. And like how Sully said, we're literally on the same goal difference. And then we're on a 4-game win streak over here, which is, impressive to see.
Jay, I thought we were allies, my friend.
We are allies. But I'm just saying, like, look, you guys are scoring goals. We aren't. And we're about to say, you guys have a really good striker. We have Ollie, who hasn't done anything.
Hey, we technically are supposed to have a really good striker, so let me throw my hat in the ring on that one too.
You also have one. You bought a $100 million striker.
You have the spirit of a good striker.
You have $200 million strikers.
Theoretically,
2 strikers cost more than what our owners bought the club for. So
listen, Shay, listen. Just because you pay an amount for a player doesn't mean they're worth that amount. All right, you can't just throw around saying they're $100 million players just because you paid $100 million.
Yeah, you can kind of do those things, but. It was good to see. I'm glad to see that Ross is healthy. I was kind of, like we needed to move on, but you see why he comes in. It's kind of like Allie Henderson. Here's a guy with just a bunch of experience just to close out the games. I don't know how it's going to fare next week when we play you, because I feel like this always happens when we come to face you guys are kind of in that dip, and then just we'll turn it on at the right time. So hopefully we can, like I said before we started the podcast, just keep knocking down, go 3 for 3, and I'll be very, very happy.
Yeah, one of those right times was back in 2020 when you guys won 7-2. I remember that game vividly because I went to Iowa to go meet a friend, and I was like, hey, guys, I'm just here for the weekend. You guys want to come watch the greatest spectacle on earth? They're like, yeah, let's do it. we went to the bar, and I sat there with my hands in my head for 90 minutes and them going, this is the greatest team in the world. And I had to fight back tears saying, yep, this is them. You know it.
Oh, I still remember that game because the one time my uncle, he's a big Liverpool fan, came to watch it with us in Memphis. And he's like, yeah, I'll go watch it with you. I remember just going to the bathroom and coming back. And we scored 6. I just walk out, and I was just like this. 6. I was like, are you kidding me? Who would have thought Villa would score 6 goals against Liverpool like that?
I don't think I ever wore that kit again.
Yeah. But, you got us back when we had to play all the youth kids. You thoroughly kicked our ass that next game. Most of all, I was playing against a bunch of teenagers.
Doing what you're supposed to do against
Doing what you're supposed to do against kids that are probably never going to play for the senior team ever again.
So Glenn, let's pop over to you. Since we have this table up, I guess, I feel like every show, every kind of podcast, every kind of football analysis talk will have this question every week, it feels like, but I feel like we should have it. Is Arsenal winning the league? Like, what's going on? Are we done here? You're muted. Sorry.
How dare you mute?
Oh, no, we lost Glenn.
He muted himself.
No!
I haven't muted anyone. Oh, God. Okay, Sully, Arsenal, who's challenging? They're gonna capitulate, right? I mean, there's gonna be some sort of collapse.
Absolutely. I mean, Arsenal's biggest rival is Arsenal. And from what I've seen, there is nothing that gives yes, Arsenal has the best record. There is nothing that gives me gives me faith in Arsenal. I've seen this movie before. I know how this ends. In the spirit of Halloween, I watched Evil Dead on Saturday, and every scene in that movie, I was like, I know how this is gonna go. Like, this is still a phenomenal movie, but I know what's at the end of this, and that's how I feel about Arsenal. They're phenomenal. They're awesome. They're great to watch. They're gonna screw this up. They are going to mess this up, and this is going to be the bottle job of all bottle jobs. I think it is. While they have the 22 points, which is nothing to scoff at. I believe they're 4 ahead of Tottenham right now. I think that was what the table said. But it doesn't matter. It's Bournemouth. Yeah, this we are nowhere near shaken out for what this table is going to look like. I know this is me being a homer, but I know we're 10 points behind, but 12th is not that far away from first, in my opinion. Pardon me. In my opinion. I think Arsenal's gonna choke this. I don't see anything, especially as they get into their harder Champions League fixtures. I think if they have a bad result, I think this is a team that has one bad game and they collapse in on themselves. Again, looking at statistics, Gyökeres has played 11 games. Voltemade has played 9. Voltemade has 1 more goal than Gyökeres, and if this is your talisman striker, he's got to step up more. 2 of those goals came in the same game. I mean, they're not going to be able to live off being set piece FC forever. That is just not going to happen. There's no chance. And especially if teams during that January transfer window go big, if they get size is Arsenal's Achilles heel. Like, they will capitulate to a team that is bigger than them and more physical. A team that takes the game to Arsenal is going to be the team that beats Arsenal. So I just don't see it until Arsenal proves me wrong in May. I don't buy it. I don't believe they're going to win it.
Glenn, we cut to you before you cut out. Have you seen enough from Arteta and his gang? Because I know I will sit here and say if they don't necessarily need Gyökeres to bang in 20 a year. they're looking for that extra 8-9 that they didn't get the last couple of years to take them over that hump a little bit. So I don't know. Do you think that is enough to take them over, or have you not seen enough? And are you more on Sully's side where we still feel like we're a year away from this Arteta project working?
Well, they're the best team in the league now on merit. They're there with good reason, right? And I think it's interesting that the teams closest to them are the likes of Sunderland and Spurs, who, with respect, aren't going to be challenging for a title, either of them. So it shows that they've put serious ground between them and clubs like City and Liverpool and anyone else. Chelsea are perpetually unconvincing, aren't they? As demonstrated this weekend. That's funny, isn't it? I mean, we've had so many results like Shay, you and I like celebrating this weekend. This was Sunderland's weekend as well, right? Just really denting the kind of title credentials of a team like Chelsea. With all that said, I mean, there's dysfunction at all of the big teams, right? That's what's really interesting. And couldn't you say, yes, I guess basing it off the past, right, Sully? Like, there's the ability to choke. There's never getting over the finish line. There's like, is this a winning project under Arteta? But you can also flip it and say, like, is there a more competent, serious looking team right now who's willing and able to win dirty, who's willing and able to put in kind of mid-tier performances? They can put 7 out of 10 performances in, week out, and get 3 points week in, week out. You're not seeing other teams doing that. You're seeing City throw points away, left, right, center, Liverpool just tanking. Again, like, what I find is interesting is until another title contender emerges in like serious, robust fashion, that's when I'm going to step away and be like, all right, let's wait for them to catch up with Arsenal. Until the pack starts to like really split apart. I mean, again, Sunderland is a second. That's not going to last. That's testament to A, Sunderland's incredible ability and like everything they brought to the Premier League on merit, which is amazing. And B, a testament to how poor every single team who should be in second place is. Like, it's appalling that there aren't bigger clubs in second and third. You know what I mean? So, Arsenal...
Spurs fans would be very upset by that.
Yeah, yes. Because, they've really proven their title credentials last year. Really did. Their back line, again, that back five, including Raya, is just so strong. I mean, they are not conceding goals. They're clean sheet for fun. Yes, you can knock the, kind of corner long ball tactics. That's not sustainable, right, Sully? I completely agree with you. But while it's working, it's working. So we will see, and you mentioned Gyökeres, like he's not going to contribute as many goals as maybe people thought before the season. Sure, I agree with that. But when you've got a player like Eze, how many goals is he going to contribute? So my response to that, Sully, or whoever, is, okay, maybe let's not look at it. Maybe let's not isolate Gyökeres. I think we're going to have a season where if we just isolate forwards like Gyökeres or Isak and everyone else, we're going to be really disappointed. But if we look at what they contribute to the rest of the team, and Gyökeres specifically with this, if he's making space for Eze to pick up space on the edge of the box and score those goals, I would say instead of just looking at Gyökeres' goals, let's combine Eze and Gyökeres' in May and see how many goal contributions together they're going to contribute. That could be the difference. That could be title winning. If they keep that back four fit and they get goals from different areas, I think then you're looking at a team that has real potential to win this. At the minute, I'm with Arsenal winning it because nobody else is stepping up. Who the hell else is going to win it right now? And Arsenal look good, and they're winning ugly, which is always the sign of a title winner.
Yeah, winning ugly, not conceding. If you can squeak out those 1-0, 2-0, just hard fought games, and you're not conceding goals, that is a recipe for league winning. And Shay, I feel like, I don't want to talk about Arsenal too much longer because their fans talk about them too much everywhere else. So a few thoughts from you about Arsenal. Do you find them, is this finally the year, or are they still pretenders?
Both of them made good points because, like I said, this is an Arsenal. They are looking high right now, but like how you said, or Glenn just said earlier, it's going to come down to injuries. Because truly, they are looking strong. If one of those four in the back get hurt, I think that will be the true challenge for them, because are they going to be able to keep that form up? And, they don't, like I said, they don't need Gyökeres to score as many goals. He just needs to score that 8 or 10, like you guys said, just because they haven't had that. They thought they did when they brought in Jesus, but he didn't do it for him, got hurt, and then they were kind of in that same boat. But I think Eze is going to be the difference maker just because, unlike Odegaard, he's just a little bit more attack-minded, and he's going to try to score those goals. But once both those two get that chemistry up, it's going to be tough. So I'm hoping for the collapse just because wouldn't it just be funny? I mean, just keep piling onto them, watching them on their YouTube channel just going crazy and thinking like, oh, going to the games, we're going to win this. And then they blow it. And then just the implosion happens. So we'll see.
Being 4 or 5 points ahead of them at the end of August to being many more points behind them at the end of October, it is something that is frustrating to see, but also a testament to how quickly things can change. And all it takes is one bad spell, one bad knock to change everything. So let's shift gears a little bit to the League Cup just for a moment, because that is happening today and tomorrow. Sorry, Shay, not everyone's involved in this conversation. Glenn, you guys took down the Giants of Grimsby Town today. Did you get a chance to watch the game? I guess my question, since I don't really have a chance to talk to you guys about this too much, and this is probably, I think, the first time, your stock in domestic cups, like the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, for example, as a Brentford fan, probably could be different than a fan of Liverpool, potentially. Where do you see these competitions in your head? Like, where do they rank?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, they're huge. They're huge to any club who's not in Premier League title contention. It should mean everything. You've seen it with Palace. You've seen it with Newcastle. These teams, Villa. I mean, there's so many teams that have just Leicester, teams that just these competitions really, really matter. For me, I mean, the magic of the FA Cup is unlike anything else. I would personally put the FA Cup higher than the League Cup. I mean, it's more of an institution, and more teams take it seriously from day one, or you get the teams who've had to work hard through all the qualifying rounds, right? It's just the product of so much labor. And I love the FA Cup, right? So my favorite memories of watching Brentford, probably my favorite ever Brentford memories are all FA Cup memories when we're giant killing in League One, right? Sunderland, Southampton, Chelsea, getting good results against these teams when they're all in the Prem is the best memories of my childhood. But in terms of now, I mean, the Carabao Cup's an interesting one. If we're willing to put in a good shift for it, I mean, I think it's huge. I mean, unfortunately, I think it was Newcastle, right? So you brushed us aside last year because we played like in between a strong team and a weak team. We just played a middling team, and you can't ever go to Newcastle with a middling team because you guys are way too strong at home. So that was a letdown. So we were kind of squad managing, even though that was the quarterfinal, which I think tells you where Thomas Frank and probably Matthew Benham, our owner, where their priorities lay. Now, tonight's interesting because we made 9 changes from the team that beat Liverpool, right? Dango and Vandenberg, 2 players who had great games against you guys, were the only 2 to keep their place. 9 changes. And although Grimsby started really strong and came out of the blocks well and dominated you had the tempo of the game for the first 15, 20 minutes. After that, it was one-way traffic. And what was really nice is we were so clinical today. And I think today, to me, just showed the depth of our squad. Every player pretty much who played in this kind of rotated side has like immense Premier League pedigree and quality, right? So many of these players are good. So although we've lost key players in a number of positions, I don't think our squad, since we've been up to the Premier League, our squad's never looked this good depth-wise. So what we were able to do was, you can argue with, maybe disrespecting the cup, 9 changes is a lot. It's more than I would have made. But the caliber of players who came in were far better than if we rotated 9 2 years ago. Far, far, far better. I mean, we paid big money for some of these players. Like, Lewis Potter was a record breaker when we got him a couple of years ago. So anyway, point being, United go to Grimsby a couple of weeks ago. A bit arrogant, they just don't care. They just show up and they expect to win on the kind of name recognition. And credit to Grimsby, they were absolutely superb. What we did, and I think what all the Grimsby fans would agree with from what I've read online following the game this afternoon, like we went there, we treated them with respect. Yes, there were changes, but we treated it like a proper match against actual quality opposition, which they are in a cup setting. There's no doubting that. And we were just so damn clinical. We had, the keeper didn't make a save, right? We scored 5 goals. Their goalkeeper didn't have to make a save. We just scored our chances. And for someone like Carvalho to come on and get a goal, brilliant. for key players like Collins to step up and get a goal was awesome. Yeah, I think we just showed what we're about. And I know it's hard to judge. You're playing against Grimsby with respect, but some of the tempo and quality of football that we played was the best I've seen all season. And that's not just because it's a quote unquote lower opposition. It's because we just hit our stride and we were pinging it about. And we made it look easy when any club that's gone to Grimsby this season, including Man United, knows that it is not an easy place to go. So I think today was the product of momentum built by beating West Ham and beating you guys. And again, it was just showing like we have a serious Premier League squad. I think we're really pushing aside these relegation assumptions now. I'm not saying we're going to do any better than we did last season. That would be surprising. But to answer your question fully, if Andrews can be like, okay, we're probably not going to finish above mid-table realistically in this season. How about we're in the quarterfinals. Why don't we try and push for the Carabao final? Why don't we try and do that? Because we have the squad to do it. We have the quality to do it. And to answer your question, winning the Carabao Cup would be the highlight of our 4 years in the Premier League, right? Nothing would come closer. That'd be the highlight of Brentford in the lifetime I've watched them, right? A domestic cup. You know, Sully knows you just don't knock them. They're serious. And a cup's a cup. So same way I talked about, Spurs winning the Europa League. It's not a one-to-one comparison. That's a serious European cup. This is a serious domestic cup. So it was great. I mean, for me to watch West Ham, Liverpool, and Grimsby in full over the last 8 days, that is great. And that shows that the Andrews experiment is really going in a good direction. Like, we blew Grimsby away. We blew them away. But credit to them because they didn't give up and they fought the whole time. We just had Premier League quality. And Man United couldn't show that for 90 minutes, but we could.
Yeah, and you show it where you have it, and how you show it you should show it because you do have it. That's the most important thing. So to the title holders of the Carabao Cup, Sully, do you expect a lot of rotation tomorrow against Spurs, knowing that West Ham is this weekend, or do you go in pretty strong tomorrow and then go weaker at the weekend?
I think we have to go in strong because it's Tottenham. I think we have to. I would say we don't necessarily need to save ourselves for West Ham, and I say that with our Premier League record being what it is at this point. But I do think I think Eddie will play a strong side. And not to knock last year, I mean, we got silverware for the first time since, the 70s. The FA Cup is more prestigious than, I would say, the Carabao Cup. I would say the FA Cup has is a much more distinguished trophy. And I could see that being sort of the logical next step in the Eddie project. I don't think we're going to win Champions League this year. I think we might qualify for the second round, which would be massive for us. But I don't think we're going to challenge for the title this year. We got off to too slow of a start. We had too many distractions, too many too many rats and snakes in the hen house. So we got rid of that, and that has really cleared out a lot of, I think, the distraction element. So I could see this season being Eddie. I could see the season being Eddie saying, hey, we're going to chase the FA Cup because this is still a prestigious trophy. This is still a high quality trophy. Now, it sucks that we're playing Tottenham so early in this tournament. That's brutal, especially given the turnaround Tottenham has had. But I think Eddie's going to play this one full force. Part of me thinks he played a little bit of a downgraded lineup, almost against Fulham this weekend. We'll see who starts on that left side. Is it going to be Gordon or is it going to be Barnes? I mean, Barnes has been banging him in, so it'd be one of those things where I would say give Barnes a run. Maybe pull Gordon off the bench because Gordon's motor is good to go as soon as he hits the pitch. And if you have a player like that, you put him in the 75th, 80th minute, there's going to be some problems for a very good Tottenham defense. So, we'll see what happens, but I don't think Eddie is going to shy away from this one. I think this is going to be one Eddie goes in full tilt with. and tries to build some momentum going into the weekend at West Ham.
I feel like knowing that West Ham is on the horizon, it allows you the opportunity to kind of take that moment to go full force.
Like West Ham on the horizon, it's very fitting that it's daylight savings time because that sun's coming up about an hour later than it should.
So real quick, I guess from Liverpool perspective, Crystal Palace, I don't want to say anything about that.
Did anyone ask?
No, actually, you're right. Shay, let's talk about this upcoming weekend. So unfortunately for you, Sully, it is now Liverpool-based because this is the match that we are looking forward, like Shay and I specifically. Liverpool back at Anfield. I think tomorrow's match is going to have it'll be interesting to see how we set up tomorrow because I think we're going heavily rotated, and I think in Slot's mind, this competition right now with where we're at in the season, for him, it's probably not worth it to be able to go back this weekend and try and pick up some form in the league again. If you're willing to sacrifice the League Cup to be able to get your season, to get your league back up and running, that's a sacrifice he's willing to take, and I think that's what we're going to see. So I guess, what are you expecting to see, and how confident are you after the shift you guys just put in against City to come to Anfield and be able to get a good result?
Well, like I said, I think they're going to probably have the same focus that they did against City on Sunday, where they're going to come in. They know that you have this extra game on hand, and we don't, so we got knocked out early. Typical Villa in the cup matches, just, losing in the second round. But I think, like how you said, this is going to be the time that you guys decide to switch it up. Because we were just talking about, the two fullbacks. You guys bought a bunch of pace and still haven't played them. So I don't know what Frimpong has to do to get the team. I feel like that would add a dynamic that you are probably missing. So I don't know if that's just Slot's just, stubbornness.
He's hurt currently. So
is he hurt? Okay, well, then that makes sense. Yeah. Because, I feel like if, those two were to play this weekend, or, he was to play, I think it would be a little bit tougher for us. And we really don't have pace. I've been harping on this for years now. Like, the fastest player we had was Leon, and that was it. And then even when we brought in Rashford, that was a little bit of pace, but we never brought in anybody after the fact. And Luka Dean and Cash, they're not the quickest, but I feel like that would be our biggest issue going forward in a lot of these matches when we have to play any kind of speed. I'm a little confident just because, hey, 4 wins on the back, just the fact that they are getting confidence. I would love to see if Ollie could get his scoring boots on, but the way that the team is playing, we'll see how they go. Because, truly, you take him out, we have nobody to sub on to really switch it up. So, you could literally put money on who's going to start. It's literally going to be the same exact team. So they'll get a week's worth of rest. It's going to be probably the same starting 11. We may or may not see. I don't know. Well, Harvey Elliott can't even play at all, so it doesn't really matter. He'll be probably sitting at home or sitting with his family in Liverpool. So I don't really see much of the team changing. So hopefully they keep it in, and if they do what they did this last week of maybe dominate the first 45 and hold, or kind of flip flop, like you guys controlled the entire first half, and then the second half they come in and try to do something. But I'm gonna go like a squeaky either 1-0 or it'll do a 2-1 truly.
I'd say the worries about the pace against this Liverpool team shouldn't be there. Mo doesn't have the pace anymore. Gakpo doesn't have the pace. He continuously likes to ignore Kirkes making runs, the overlaps around him. And this team wants to play through the middle, but doesn't know how to play through the middle right now. So until they can figure that out, you don't have to be worried about getting burned from the wings, unless Isak is fit and he's able to be that aerial presence in the box that we currently don't have, because Ekitike also loves being more of.
Did you say if Isak is a git? Is that what you said?
Is fit.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know why I even fell for that one. Though. I can't believe I fell for that one.
It was just teed up on a platter. It's perfect.
It really was. I didn't. it's going to take some weeks. I'm going to do better, I swear. And Ekitike really loves to play, with the ball at his feet as well. So he's not one of those target men, so to speak. He plays, for Liverpool fans, he's more of a Bobby Firmino type that loves to play with the ball, loves to play the 1-2s and be able to find that space. A big thing is just our players' unwillingness to have the confidence. I think it's because there is no confidence, that there's an unwillingness to make balls, to take the chances, to take the passes that you, when you see those runs and you see those spaces, to take that on. Because right now it's just a lot of center backs.
Our biggest issue, because like you said, I feel like us on the counter aren't the strongest, but like you said, through the midfield, you'll probably have Boubacar starting with him and again just kind of holding that midfield the whole time. And if we can take that out, that'll be huge. Just because, like I said, I wasn't very confident against Holland on the form that he was, but then Pau Torres and Ezri played lights out. So if they can kind of do the same pressure that they did against Holland, against whoever starts, they will take that aspect out of the game, like you said. And if they're playing with the feet the whole time, it's going to be a very midfield heavy match, and it's going to be literally a counter goal, or Matty Cash decides to hit one with his right foot from 30 yards out again, and hopefully beats your goalkeeper. So we'll see.
I don't think this is going to be one to watch for this weekend. I think it's going to be a very sluggish, very poor, not a lot of control, kind of just a both what the hell is going on from both sides kind of game. So I guess, Glenn, in saying that, and in matches to look for this, or to look out for this weekend, Crystal Palace Brentford seems like a pretty tasty matchup.
It does. It does. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a real test for us. That's one of the ones on paper, right? We got it right when we called Palace Bournemouth 2 weeks ago. Game of the season, arguably. Half those players will be doing it again, right? And I think both teams have got some real excitement. So Brentford, the front three we talked about, the pace of Sharda and Dango in particular. I'm not sure if it will play a 4-3-3. I'm not sure if he'll go to 5 at the back at Palace, because they have players like Sarr and Mateta and Munoz, who must be the most attacking fullback in the entire league, maybe in the entire world. He plays as a third winger, at least one of my favorite players in the entire league. This game's got good quality written all over it. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Palace just rocked up and just if they hit their form, they could be really, really tricky. I mean, Mateta is, talk about a renewal of a career. He's one of the most dangerous forwards on the day. And if he was just a bit more clinical this season, he'd be top of the goal scoring charts, right? The XG that he racks up with the players around him is extraordinary. It's a game to watch, isn't it? I'm not sure which way it's going to go. Again, I think we're really, really evenly matched. A draw would be a great result for us after 2 wins. I would absolutely love a draw at Palace. I think they're a really, really good team. They got quality at the back as well, right? Richards is very solid. Of course, Gehi is dangerous in his own box and attacking. He always seems to be a danger from corners, getting a goal. They got players that can hurt you all over the park, and this strikes me as 2 mid-table-ish teams who could really kick on. Obviously Palace got the disappointing result at Arsenal. They were kind of stifled, right? That's what Arsenal do this season. They stifle teams, they suffocate them, and they did that to Palace. They didn't let them move. So Palace will be roaring to go. They'll be desperate to get back at home, get a good result, and we're going to bounce into this having scored 9 goals in 3 games, and we're going to be really up for it as well. Should be a good watch.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one that I'm looking out for sure. Sully, our resident Tonali holder, why don't you start off our Tonali picks here, and let's hear about little sprinkles and the parlays you've got going on this weekend.
It's been a busy week, but if I'm going the parlay, Bournemouth and City, that I think that one is going to be one to watch. You want to talk not to take anything away from Palace Brentford. I think that is going to be a phenomenal game.
That's the Saturday game.
But I'm just saying, if we're talking match of the weekend, that City Bournemouth game is going to be must watch. That Tottenham Chelsea is going to be must watch. I would even say Sunderland Everton is going to be must watch. Is Sunderland as good as their record shows? I mean, Isidore is incredible. He is an unbelievable player. That is somebody. even though he plays for the other team in the North, I'm going to be singing his praises for a while. That guy can play. But if I had to go, I would say Bournemouth draw versus City. I would say Forest over Man U,
I
and then
like that
I think I'm going to take Tottenham over Chelsea. That would probably be my parlay. I know I said Sunderland and Everton is going to be an interesting one. I don't want to put any money near Sunderland. Having watched We Are Sunderland, I think any money that goes near Sunderland is going to be immediately pocketed by somebody from that town.
Spent on a new PA system, so
yes, yeah, for real. So we're gonna see what happens, but that would be my parlay route. Now, Matush, I wanted to go back to something that you were kind of talking about, and you talked about it with all three of us that I think is interesting, is the idea of lineup changes. And I think that in itself is sort of the difference maker between a top 6 team and everybody else. You know, a lot of these mid-table teams, myself included, we're going into battle with the same guys every time. Like, if you play Newcastle, you pull up to St. James's Park, you know Nick Voltemade is going to be the striker. You know what that midfield is going to look like on a day without anybody's injuries. So, I mean, I think that is the real difference maker between our three teams and a team like Liverpool, a team like Arsenal. Like, you guys have a squad you can rotate and not really drop off. Whereas the three of us rotate a squad, it's like, who did they put in? That's where we are attacking. That's where we are going to go. So I think that's going to be very interesting for the three of us. And as much as I like ganging up on Liverpool, this is not a gang up on Liverpool. I think that's going to be very interesting for us as these cup draws keep going. You know, do we have the ability to rotate? Do we have the ability to not, you know, and you're always going to have a drop off when you're starting players off your bench, but it's just how much of that drop off. Is it 1 or 2 steps, or are we talking 5, 6, 7, 8 steps below who your starter is? So I think that's what a lot of this table is going to come down to later in the season. Who is playing their true starting 11 for as long as possible, and whose starting 11 is going to be the one that sort of makes it out of the Thunderdome that is the Premier League.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think part of it too is as a club, as you get adjusted to having more competitions, you just need a deeper squad regardless, right? A team like Liverpool, like Arsenal, whatever, who are in European competitions year in, year out, are going to need that extra depth to be able to then take on the extra 8, 10, 12 games or whatever you have throughout the season. Where as like a Brentford possibly, right, then you get a couple extra games, but you don't have the strain. You also don't have the travel as well. I think sometimes we don't think about how far you have to travel in some of these European fixtures too. So you don't have as much of that. You don't have players. I know this sounds like I'm Klopp now whining about the dumbest things, but you don't have the players who leave for South America for the international break, come back on a Thursday for a Saturday game, and you want to start them. Not to say that these mid-table teams don't have players from South America, but like it's one of those things where it just feels like you need the amount of depth there because of what the club has to go through more than just it has the money. Because I think you could argue that Villa and Newcastle have and had the potential to spend well, to have good depth. Villa especially, I think, hasn't spent well at all. And I think they could have the depth if they spent well.
Oh, I mean, I agree with that. Like I said, I've harped on that too. Like, we've had the same players since Dean Smith and even Steven Gerrard. I think Emery's only bought in maybe 2 of the players that he's truly wanted. And then, we did bring in some depth, and then he threw a temper tantrum and we shipped him off to Saudi for $70 million, made pure profit. So, but
Chicago Fire Boy.
Yep, just I mean, I still miss that guy, but you got to have you have the depth, and some of the players that we have on the bench, they're youth kids that are we don't know what they're going to be like, and like how you said with these mid match games, because especially for us, we're in Europa right now, that's going to be our midweek games for the most of the part. And do you start the same 11 that you're going to start in the league games? Probably not. And we did that earlier this week when we lost to Go Ahead Eagles. Like, you decided to put a whole new defense back there, and it bit us in the ass, basically. And then you start your normal 2. Here you go. You beat City at home. It's like, oh, okay. But then, like how Sully said, like, everybody knows what they're going to face when they're playing these teams, because there's not enough depth or quality to switch in and out. Like I said, we don't have 3 world-class midfielders that, oh, all right, this guy's going to start this week. Next week, we're going to put in this person. Like, oh, okay, cool. And then they come in right away like nothing happened. But maybe one day it'll change.
and Shay, that is something else with sort of our 3 teams is you almost have to look at the academy system and players we've loaned out, players that are not regulars in the team, but will they get a chance given how competitive every game is? Are managers willing to risk a result by trying to get a player some experience? I mean, we've kind of lucked out with our deep cup runs, getting Lewis Miley, Lewis Hall, a fair amount of experience that is not catastrophic to what our club is trying to do. But we apparently have this kid in our academy also who went viral this weekend for these incredible finishes he's having. He's an 18-year-old, but I keep thinking to myself, like, when is this kid going to realistically get a shot? Like, an 18-year-old trying, it doesn't matter what minute this kid comes on in as a sub. Mm-hmm. An 18-year-old trying to body a player like Holland, it's just not going to happen. And even if you're playing a lower league side, the lower league sides have strikers that are laying bricks as soon as they get off the pitch. Like, that's not somebody you want to throw an 18-year-old up against. So it's another one of those things where, I don't want to say the rich are getting richer and being able to develop like the depth in this club, but I just wonder what it is like for other teams in other leagues with their academies, if they sort of feel the same pressure that a Premier League academy feels in trying to bring these players into the first team.
Glenn, any thoughts on that there?
Yeah, it's a great point, Sonny. I mean, we had Donovan come on for us in the cup today, who's this wonder kid. We spent a bit of money. I've been 1.5 million from Birmingham over the summer. He played with our B team a bit. He's tearing out in the B team, right, Sully? Screamers, dribbling past players. He looks brilliant, and a lot of the fans are desperate for him to come into the team. Right, he's in the first team squad, but this is the thing, right? It's like, what is the realistic pathway to him getting sustained minutes when we've already got such an experienced squad? It's like limited. He came on for 20 minutes, got fouled, like a bit Grealish like Shay, got fouled 5 or 6 times, incredible close ball control. He delivered with his cameo what we expected, but when all said and done, it's against Grimsby. It's not against Man City. It's not against Villa, right? It's just a different setting. And honestly, in some ways, that setting can be harder on a younger player because you've got these rugged League 2 fullbacks who are 5-0 down, and this tricky kid comes on and is really running laps around them. So they were going in hard, right? Late tackles. It wasn't nasty, but like they were fouling him because of what
they're just like, hey, welcome to professional soccer.
Definitely. That was the
vibe. Basically, not the youth
right.
Kid.
So it's like, do you send him on loan to maybe League 1, League 2, and he has that kind of treatment? Do you keep him in the squad? Do you maybe send him to Europe? Right. This is increasingly a kind of viable pathway. It's like, okay, you're going to go out to the Belgian league for a season. You'll probably play really well. Come back with that experience. Maybe that's the answer. But yeah, it's tricky. It's tough because, our league is so awash with money and teams are just more willing, kind of as you were touching on, Shay, like teams are more willing to invest 30, 40 million in a player who has 60, 70 Premier League caps than somebody who has incredible potential, but you're just unsure. And that's before you think about like potential injuries and stuff. So it is tricky, but yeah, Donovan for Brentford is the golden boy, the player to watch. And I really hope one Tuesday this season, maybe around Christmas when the fixtures pile up, we can talk about him making some magic happen. We can come back to this discussion and be like, that's a pathway. That's how you do it. Because beyond that, I think it's really tricky. And again, we're not as big a club as Newcastle, right? Like, it's even harder to break into the Newcastle first 11. So
I feel like the league has tried to do that too. Like, hey, you have to have homegrown talent. But now, like I said, the money, like some of these kids are superstars at 18, 19. And like, there's no cutoff for that. I think it's like a certain age, and they say you can't be homegrown. Like, say you bring in a 19-year-old from, somebody that's playing in Europe, and they can consider him homegrown, even though he came from like a Stuttgart or something like that, just because he's still under that age. And there are clubs that can spend that money and do it. Like, prime example, what was Douye at PSG? Like, I think he's only 19. Like, he's an absolute superstar. But like, I would see like the league would almost consider him as a homegrown talent because he's under that age. But you're spending $80 million on this guy who's proven that he can play in those leagues. And I feel like, or like, in the bigger games. And I think the league needs to try to implement something just for the benefit of everybody to give some of these kids that have the talent that don't get the opportunity. Because, I mean, I've seen it, a bunch of these kids that Villa's bought, at 14, 15, and like, oh, they're going to make the next step, and we never see them play. And it's a shame because, we're ruining their kind of talent. Like, we had to do it I know it was a little sketchy deal between us and Chelsea, but that Omari Kelvin guy, like Emery liked him, started playing him. This kid's 6'2", playing attacking mid, like kind of in between a striker. Showed promise in those 3 or 4 games, and then we sold him. Now gone. Same with Chukwuemeka. Like, he was pushing for that senior role. We sell him to Chelsea, gone, and now I don't know where he's at. I think it's a detriment to some of the talent, and like you said, like I guess the U teams don't have the setup to make that opportunity. And I feel like what they probably, and like I said, I know we want to do cup runs, but maybe the FA goes in like, hey, the first 3 rounds, obviously, of the clubs, like the Premier League has to play kind of youth kids or like the people that don't get to play, just to get their development up. I feel like that would just be beneficial for the sport in general. Like, other players and other teams can actually see what they're getting, because they're not, like I said, they don't get the opportunity. I know you have like the Youth FA Cup, but when you look at the Youth FA Cup, it's teams that are never going to truly, be in that next step of making players move to their senior team. So I don't know, like maybe they'll change it. I doubt it. We all hope to do that, but.
And what's interesting about all of this also is like really think, like I'm pulling all 4 of our brains together, which like including me is not a whole lot to like write home about, but when was the last time a Premier League team went to South America and bought a kid from like Santos or something? When was the last time the Premier League went to Flamenco? When was the last time the Premier League went to Cruz Azul? And I mean, aside,
like Chelsea attempts to do it, but Chelsea, as soon as they buy these kids, they ship them out and they don't ever come back. And right. I feel like that's detrimental to these upcoming players that are going to be the next superstar, and we never get to see them. Like Chelsea is huge on doing that because they'll buy somebody from Brazil, like, oh, this is the next guy. So my friend talk about it. He's like, oh, this is the next superstar, and I never see him play for Chelsea. I was like, you just spent $30 million, and we'll never see him play.
And is that something that the 3 of our teams are always going to struggle with? Not necessarily having, the guts to go out and take a risky signing like that. A player who might not be a Premier League talent, but is a soccer talent, and giving them the time to develop into the player. I feel like I bring in American football all the time, but it almost feels like the same way with American football rookie quarterbacks. Like, you bring these guys in hoping they're the fucking savior, and that you don't give them enough time to actually establish themselves.
Yep.
And so it's an interesting dynamic. And Glenn, I like what you said. This is something we should revisit like January or something. This is something we should be looking at like mid-season and seeing if this is a legitimate sort of hypothesis or something.
Yeah, and we signed. Sorry, just to Sully's point, we signed Gustavo Nunez from the Brazilian top flight, and potential wonder kid. So he had some injury issues in his first season, but we've taken that risk in the window before last in the summer. So very curious to see if Nunez or Donovan for R2 to watch Sully make any kind of tangible impact. Maybe it'll be in the Carabao, maybe it'll be in maybe it'll be in the next round, right? Maybe it'll be in the FA Cup, but really curious to see if a couple of our promising wonder kids do come to any fruition. Because as you said, Shay, there is this black hole of Chelsea that just absorbs all of this talent. It's just like this farm. It's really insidious. And it's really strange and upsetting that it's kind of allowed to happen. They have this gravitational pull. And then, as you said, Shay, they pick up these players that are really meaningful to our clubs and they just kind of disperse them and you never hear from them again. Yep. And the final thing to your point, Shay, it's so disappointing that, the homegrown players can be sold for pure profit, because then you get the kind of Ramsey situation. That seems to encourage teams selling younger players who can have a really meaningful connection with their community and with the soccer club, whether they joined there as a kid or whether they were bought in as a teenager, whatever.
Yep.
The fact they're pure profit in such desperate PSR times for teams, that is really counterintuitive, right? And that presents some real problems. And that's another reason that Chelsea absorbs so many of these players. They don't care. They'll pay whatever. But if there's like PSR balancing the books on the line, someone like Ramsey, there you go, 40 million from Sully's team. Great. We need that money, pure profit. So that feels very counterintuitive in terms of retaining and supporting, kind of homegrown talent at clubs, because that's really frustrating to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just two things. One, Sully, I think Brighton has done a really good job of recruiting from South America and being able to then bring them in and being able to give them the platform to perform and to do well in the Premier League. So that's been great to see. But it's like that kind of model, if that could be better used throughout, the rest of the league. And then second, Glenn, you brought up Christmas. How ridiculous is it that there's only one fixture on Boxing Day? I am beyond appalled at the Premier League, and I was punching the air when I saw that come out. So that bummed me out for the rest of the day. Maybe I understand fixture congestion, but at that point you make changes around several months. You don't block off all of Boxing Day. That is what we look forward to most of us look forward
to. Like that Saturday on the 27th.
I don't care about Christmas. I care about Boxing Day. That's where I'm at. It's absolute horseshit. So on that note,
did they come out with a reasoning for it? Did they try to blame World Cup year, or they just did it just to do it?
Just fixture congestion. I think that's just it's easy to say that.
The NFL is king. The NFL pushed out the Premier League.
Oh, is that what it was? They're going to do Christmas Day and.
Oh wait,
Christmas Day, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it is, like they're doing it.
they're taking over worldwide, baby. So on that note, thank you everyone for joining us today. Glenn, Shay, Sully, you guys are wonderful. Any last parting words before we go off the air for a week?
Matus, I think it would be remiss if we did not give a shout out to Jamie Curitin, the player who has now scored in every single league in English football. He has scored in all 10 levels. He is 50 years old, scored this weekend. Like, hats off. That's why we watch the game. That's what it is all about. So, Jamie, hats off to you. Go find a Barca lounger, my friend.
Sully,
you earned it. Like, you're done.
I've seen him score one of those goals for Exeter many years ago. I've seen him score in person. Oh, yeah. I've been part of the journey. I celebrated like as a family member.
So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Josh, thank you for joining us. I took a picture of this. We'll bring that up next week. We'll see how much Shay wants to talk about Ali after this weekend to see what happens after these results. So thank you guys again, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a wonderful night. Adios.